7 spine-chilling motel secrets exposed, the haunting key that unlocked unexplained terror. Lisa stepped out of her battered car, the weight of her old life clawing at her insides. The Moonlight Motel loomed before her, its flickering neon sign barely illuminating the peeling paint. It felt like an abandoned movie set, eerie, and waiting for a story that had been long forgotten. For Lisa, starting fresh in Willow Creek meant confronting not just her past, but the ghosts lurking in the shadows. The town seemed like it belonged in a postcard, idyllic at first glance. But as she and her teenage son, Jake, approached the dilapidated reception desk, an unsettling chill snaked its way down her spine. Whispers clung to the air, something was off. Lisa brushed the uneasy feeling aside as they heaved their bags into a room thick with dust and old memories. One corner of the room concealed a moth-eaten drawer. When Lisa yanked it open, her heart raced. Inside, an ornate key lay nestled like a promise buried deep in the soil of time. "Look at this!" she exclaimed as she held it up, feeling its cold weight. "What do you think it opens?" Jake rolled his eyes. "Probably just a storage closet," he muttered, but Lisa couldn't shake off the feeling that it was an invitation to secrets long kept. Strange things began to transpire. The clock on the wall stopped at precisely midnight every single night. Distant laughter echoed from empty rooms, and the smell of coffee filled the air even when the diner downstairs was closed. "Did you hear that?" Jake's voice trembled one night as the shadows flickered close. Lisa's chest tightened. "Jake, it's nothing. Just the wind," she lied, but the unease settled in her throat like a stone. But Jake wasn't convinced. He had his own experiences, echoing cries that left him sleepless and on edge. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the strange occurrences escalated, rumors began to swirl among the scant townsfolk. The tension was palpable, like static in the air. Eyes darted toward Lisa and Jake, and hushed voices whispered fears that had plagued this town for years. Could the key unlock not just physical doors, but the nightmares that kept them shackled? Lisa found herself drawn into conversations about the motel's grim history, a place where happiness once thrived, but tragedy left scars deeper than the weathered wallpaper. Every room they stepped into felt like a portal to past heartaches. Memories of broken families and lost hopes hit too close to home. But with every revelation, dark shadows seemed to retaliate. A sudden crash sent Lisa's heart racing as glass shattered in the dead of night, and her resolve began to waver. What had she awakened? The stakes were rising, not just for her, but for all of Willow Creek. The key felt hot in her hand, pulsing with unspoken power. What door would it unlock next? As they teetered on the brink of something dreadful, the question loomed large: would they find freedom within the darkness, or would the shadows consume them whole? The air grew heavy, thick with tension as Lisa and Jake huddled in their room, the shadows closing in. Each creak of the floorboard sounded like a whispered warning, and every flicker of the light bulbs twisted her stomach further into knots. She glanced at Jake. His eyes were wide with a mix of fear and curiosity, and she saw the same desire within him to confront this malevolent haunt. "We need to find out what this key opens," Lisa finally said, determination brewing within her. Jake nodded hesitantly but then took a deep breath, his resolve solidifying amidst the terror swirling around them. As they made their way outside, the moon hung low, casting an eerie glow that grabbed hold of Lisa's every thought. She could hear the faint murmur of a breeze, carrying with it echoes of laughter from the forgotten past. The light revealed a pathway lined with overgrown weeds, leading to a series of doors hidden from view, tucked away behind the motel. "Mom, this is crazy," Jake whispered, almost pleadingly. "Do we really want to do this?" But Lisa's mind was made up. The key had called to her, and she needed to know the horrors it might unlock. They approached the first door, a rusted padlock dangling from its frame. It looked ancient, layers of dust accentuating the silence that surrounded it. Lisa's hand trembled slightly as she inserted the ornate key into the lock. Would it fight her? Would it betray her? With a click, the door creaked open, revealing a dark abyss within. Inside, shadows danced, swirling around the walls, and there it was a child's laughter echoed, chilling her to the core. Lisa's heart hammered in her chest as she squinted into the gloom, searching for the source of the sound. "Jake, did you hear that?" she gasped. "Yeah," he whispered back. "But where is it coming from?" As they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them, a harsh sound that sent ice through their veins. A flickering light sputtered to life, illuminating the room. Cracked mirrors lined the walls, reflecting twisted images of what once was. "Mom, we need to get out of here." Jake's face was pale, and Lisa's pulse quickened. She could feel a pressure in the air, thick and oppressive, as if the room itself was alive and suffocating, but something caught her eye, a small, weathered toy lying in the far corner. A wooden horse, intricately carved but covered in dust. For a moment, it felt like it was watching her, its empty eyes filled with longing and sadness. "Why is this here?" Lisa questioned aloud, reaching out for it. The moment her fingers brushed against the horse, the laughter returned, louder now, echoing off the walls like a haunting melody. It felt familiar, a phantom memory tugging at her heartstrings. Suddenly, the laughter stopped, replaced by a low whisper, faint yet filled with urgency. "Help us," it demanded, its tone desperate and sorrowful. Panic flooded through Lisa. "Who are you?" she shouted into the darkness, fearing the answer might reveal more horror than she could bear. "Help us before it's too late," the voice repeated, carrying the weight of 1,000 lost souls, resonating in the very marrow of her bones. Lisa and Jake exchanged terrified glances. The words gripped them, clawing at their sanity. Was this a warning or a plea? It felt like a choice, a heavy burden resting on them. "Mom, we have to go." Jake insisted again. As they stumbled backward, the haze around them thickened, the room thickening with desperation and grief. With a violent rush, Lisa grabbed the key again, her fingers trembling not from fear, but a dawning realization. Maybe she hadn't unlocked just any door, they had stepped into a realm layered with suffering. They turned to leave, only to find the exit sealed tight, shadows swirling menacingly. The key pulsed in Lisa's palm, a heartbeat among the darkness. "What do we do?" Jake cried, panic twisting his voice. "We find the truth or we may be lost forever," she said, though doubts crept in like a thief. What had they truly awakened? The shadows loomed ever closer as the whispers intensified, filling her heart with dread. Just behind them, a flicker revealed a door they hadn't noticed before, unmarked and shrouded in mystery. Intrigued yet terrified, Lisa knew they had to make a choice. Would they unlock another door, or would they surrender to the unknown lurking right behind them? A new decision was upon them, its urgency palpable in the stagnant air. What awaited them on the other side? Would it lead to salvation or deeper darkness? The suspense settled thick like fog, leaving only one question hanging in the air: what if it wasn't a choice at all? The flickering light seemed to flash faster when they noticed the new door, each pulse a heartbeat against the mounting fear. It loomed before them, heavy with secrets and suffocation, as if it had been waiting just for them. Jake's breath quickened, the air thick with uncertainty. "Mom, what if we can't get out?" he stammered, his voice wavering. His fear sliced through Lisa's own resolve. What were they really stepping into? The whispers grew louder, intertwining through her thoughts like creeping vines. "I don't know, Jake," she admitted, the tremor in her voice betraying her determination. "But we have to try." With the key held tight in her fist, Lisa approached the door. The wood was smooth but cold under her palm. She could feel its weight, a warning echoing in every inch of her skin. "This could be our chance to understand what is happening here," she murmured, unsure if she believed her own words. Jake shifted nervously behind her, wringing his hands. But what if we regret it? What if whatever's in there, what if it's worse? A dark shadow seemed to respond to Jake's words, stretching across the room. Lisa felt it coil around her legs. We have to confront this, she urged, trying to infuse strength into her words. She turned the key, inserting it into the lock of the door. With a slow, deliberate motion, she twisted it. The key ground against the rust. In an agonizing moment, dread hung between them. With a final click, she opened the door, and it swung inward, revealing an even darker space beyond. An icy gust of wind blew past her, rich with the scent of dampness and decay, brushing against her cheek like a lingering ghost. Flickering shadows danced in the corner of her vision, restless and eager. "Are you ready?" Lisa asked her son, forcing a determined smile, even as her heart pounded. "Not at all," Jake replied, his voice barely a whisper, but he nodded anyway. Together, they stepped over the threshold, into a room that defied comprehension. The walls were covered in photographs old and faded, some framing scenes of a family long forgotten, their smiles eerie under the sepia hues. At the center of the room, a large mirror stood, reflecting not just their uncertain faces but also the turmoil swirling behind them. "Is that us?" Jake asked, pointing to the reflection. The images in the mirror moved, their features shifting, distorting into anguished expressions. "No, it can't be," Lisa stammered, her throat dry. The figures in the mirror, shadows of despair, beckoned them closer. The whispering had intensified, now a wail rising above a soft hum. "Help us please," the voices pleaded, echoing from the mirror. The sound reverberated through the room, wrapping around them, pulling them in. Jake's eyes widened, terror plastered across his face. "Mom, we can't." But before he could finish, Lisa felt the key burn hot in her palm. Instinctually, she turned her attention back to the mirror. Something flickered behind the glass, a flash of movement. Was it a shadow? No, it was more like a figure, human yet grotesquely warped. "Mom!" Jake screamed. "We need to get back. Now!" The doors slammed shut behind them, sealing them inside with whatever lay hidden in those reflections. Lisa felt trapped, eyes darting, breath quickening. "We have to discover the truth. I can't just leave now, not after everything we've heard." Desperation clawed at her as she stepped towards the mirror, drawn to that flicker of movement. What awaited her on the other side? A long-buried secret, perhaps. A glimpse into their own past. With every second, the shadows expanded. Their shapes twisted menacingly, urging her to go deeper. She could feel Jake's fear radiating off him, thickening the air, yet she was rooted to the spot. The whispers crescendoed into a deafening roar. Help us find the truth." Suddenly, the mirror rippled, and a hand reached out, black and shadowy. Lisa's heart stopped as she stared into the abyss. Was it reaching for them or warning them? A chilling thought struck her. Could they pull out a lost soul trapped inside and uncover this motel's terrible secret? "Mom!" Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, filled with panic. "Don't touch it." But without thinking, Lisa leaned forward. The warmth of the key pulsed again in her palm, aligning with the echo of her heartbeat. What would they awaken if she crossed that threshold? She couldn't back out now. And as her fingertips grazed the surface, everything warped in horror, but what she'd soon discover would change everything, even the very essence of freedom itself. The moment Lisa's fingertips brushed against the mirror, everything shifted. A violent ripple surged through the glass, distorting both her reflection and the shadowy hand. Tension electrified the room as she gasped, feeling the pulse of darkness resonate in her very bones. The whispers morphed into a cacophony of cries, desperate and demanding, echoing around her. "Mom, stop!" Jake's small voice was lost in the chaos, but Lisa, her heart racing, felt an unyielding force pull her closer. The air thickened, as if the shadows were alive, wrapping around them, tightening like a noose. Panic bubbled in her chest, but also a strange intrigue. The hand, claw-like and spectral, stretched towards her, yearning for contact. It looked familiar yet utterly alien, as if it belonged to someone she should know but could not remember. Help us, the voices pleaded again. Each word sliced through her resolve, inching deeper into her mind, creating tendrils of doubt and curiosity. Jake, it's okay, she whispered, trying to sound reassuring even as fear curdled her insides. I think it wants to show us something. Show us what? Jake retorted, his voice trembling, backing away as best he could in the tight space. We shouldn't be here. We need to get out. But the truth was here, shrouded in shadow, and they were too far in now. Lisa's resolve sharpened. She needed to know what haunted this place, what lay behind those distorted souls. Stay behind me, she urged, pushing through terror and doubt. With a steadying breath, she leaned closer, her heart hammering. The shadows curled like smoke, anticipation tangling with fear within her. Suddenly, with a rush, the hand snatched at her, gripping her wrist tightly. Coldness surged through her, numbing her thoughts and pulling her into the mirror. She felt herself vanishing into the glass, slipping beneath the surface like a stone sinking into water. Mom! Jake's scream echoed behind her as she fell into darkness. There was no ground, no walls, just a swirling void of shadows that morphed and shifted around her. Chills raced through her body, and before she could gather her wits, a scene crystallized before her, the faces from the photographs now vividly alive and twisted in agony, surrounded by a sinister light. Who are you? She shouted against the noise, but the shadows only swirled in response, heavy with despair. They encircled her, their torment palpable, tugging at the corners of her mind, drawing memories from deep within, but what memories? They flickered just out of reach, taunting her, blending with the anguish of the trapped souls. In that instant, Lisa understood, she wasn't just here to witness their suffering. She was entwined in it, their fates were tethered to hers. Help, please. One figure, partially transparent, extended a hand toward her, eyes wide with longing and fear. Lisa's heart ached. What happened to you? She whispered, drawn into their sorrow. How can I help? The figure shuddered violently, each breath a shaky gasp. Uncover the truth before it's too late. A shattering noise tore through the illusion, awakening the darkness around her. Lisa felt herself being pulled again. She clung desperately to the figure's hand. No. Don't let me go. But the shadows were too strong. They ripped her from the scene and hurled her back, launching her through the depths until with a sickening jolt, she landed back in the room. Gasping, Lisa fell to the floor, breathless. The mirror was now silent, the dark hand retreating as the whispers faded to a haunting echo. Mom! Jake rushed to her side, eyes wide with terror. What was that? What happened? Lisa stared at the mirror, the images blurry now, devoid of movement. She struggled to remember the faces, the pleas. I don't know, Jake, she breathed, though certainty filled her. But we have to find a way to help them. As shadows danced along the walls again, weaving their stories, one remaining question lingered in Lisa's mind. What truth had she uncovered, and at what cost? Behind her, the doors shook ominously, a heavy thud amplifying the weight of her next decision. What more awaited them in this cursed motel? Would they dare explore deeper? The light dimmed as once more, the whispers rose anew, calling for help, begging for freedom. The real horror was yet to unfold. Lisa's heart raced as she steadied herself against the wall, the weight of her last encounter heavy on her chest. The room felt alive, a coiling, sinister presence wrapping around her and Jake, and the air crackled with energy that set her nerves on edge. Mom, we can't stay here. Jake pleaded, a slight tremor shaking his voice. His wide eyes darted toward the door, as if expecting it to burst open and unleash whatever horror lay beyond. Lisa knew he was right. The closer they lingered, the more the shadows encroached. We have to find out what happened to them, she said, though the resolve in her voice faltered. Every instinct screamed for her to run, but the desperate cries of the trapped souls clawed at her mind, dragging her back. What truth are they hiding? The unsettling thud at the door urged her to action, and with a hesitant glance at Jake, she moved toward the mirror. The glass now shimmered like water under the moonlight, reflecting their frayed nerves instead of their faces. She placed her palm flat against its surface, feeling an eerie warmth radiate from the depths beyond. "What if it tells us how to help?" Lisa murmured, hesitating for just a moment. Behind her, Jake shifted, a mix of worry and fear painting his features. "No, Mom. You can't touch it again." His voice rose, trembling with urgency. "Remember what happened." The spiraling shadows beckoned her with a sibilant whisper, promising to reveal the past that the mirror hid. Clenching her jaw, Lisa made a choice. "I need to go back. I can't leave them like this." She took a deep breath, steeling herself against the swirl of anxiety and dread, and once again pressed her hand against the glass. In an instant, it rippled, expanding and consuming her, all sound drowning in a suffocating silence. The darkness enveloped her, crashing around like waves against a ship, until it unnervingly settled into a distorted landscape. Shadows danced around her, shifting and swirling, revealing glimpses of treachery and sorrow. Each figure twisted in torment, trapped in an endless cycle of pain. "Please, you must help us," a familiar voice echoed in the void, laced with both anguish and familiarity. It was a voice she had heard before, and a chill pricked her spine. Who are you?" she called out, searching desperately for the source of the voice. But instead of answers, unearthly sounds began to echo, the shadows converging, but one figure stepped out of the mist, face gaunt and hollow. "We were betrayed," it hissed, reaching toward her with a trembling hand. It took Lisa a moment to recognize the eyes staring back, shadows of her own kin, trapped forever in torment. "Mom!" Jake's voice cut through the ominous haze, pulling at her heartstrings. "We need to go. Now." "No." The figure screamed, its voice faltering. "You must listen. The truth lies within your family." Lisa felt the ground beneath her shift as memories flooded back, forgotten stories, old photographs, and fragments of laughter. High-pitched laughter and fading smiles. There had been a darkness that had loomed over her family long before she had arrived at this cursed motel. "Your mother, she released us, but that was not the end." The figure's words were sharp, piercing through the core of her being like a splinter. Before Lisa could process the layers of meaning, the scene rippled violently as shadows twisted in fury. She felt herself losing control, being dragged back once more. She desperately clutched at her relatives. "Wait. Tell me how." But with a jarring pull, the void enveloped her again, ripping her from the truth she yearned to grasp. With a gasp, she tumbled back into the motel room, sweaty and disoriented. Jake was there, panic in his eyes. "What did you see? What did it say?" Lisa's breath came in short bursts as she tried to gather her racing thoughts. It's connected to our family. They were betrayed. We have to find out what really happened. Before it's too late." As she glanced back into the mirror, the dark glass swirled ominously, whispering secrets just beneath its crystalline surface. What lies awaited them? The door rattled again, this time louder and more insistent, an echoing reminder of the danger drawing ever closer. With the weight of revelations pressing down, Lisa felt the pull of uncertainty. What horror waited behind the door, and would they ever uncover the truth that could either save or doom them? The shadows danced, waiting for her next move. Each beat of Lisa's heart felt like a countdown, a reminder of the urgency pressing upon her. The fear in Jake's eyes confirmed her worst fears, they were running out of time. She turned her attention back to the mirror, its surface now rippling like a dark pond disturbed by a single drop of rain. Each ripple felt alive, urging her forward. "Whatever is trying to come in, it's not friendly," Jake said, fear etched across his young face. His voice trembled as he glanced nervously at the door. "We can't let them in." "Jake, listen to me." Lisa squeezed his shoulder, trying to capture his focus, her grip firm but gentle. "We need to know what they want. If we can help them, maybe we can protect ourselves too." A stillness enveloped them, the echoes of what she had just witnessed lingering in the air. There was something more to this place. Something dark. From deep within her, a flicker of defiance blazed. I have to try again. No. What if it takes you again? His voice cracked, and unmistakable panic gripped him. You don't know what's on the other side. I have to know the truth, Jake. We have to break this cycle. Quick as a flash, she pressed her hand against the cold glass once more, willing herself to see. The pressure intensified as the darkness swirled, pulling at her very essence. Unlike last time, this was different. A cacophony of whispers swelled, filling her mind with confusion and dread. Shadows loomed larger, faces she once cherished contorted in anguish and betrayal. Remember, the truth can shatter your family. The warning seeped like poison into her thoughts. Lisa. Jake's voice pierced through the noise, full of desperation. Come back. Please. Again, the shadows coalesced, revealing glimpses of the past. A faded photograph, laughter that turned to screams, a light extinguished too soon. It was her family, trapped in a web of betrayal, and the truth was precariously close, hovering just out of reach. A vivid scene ignited in front of her, a family gathered around a table, a man's hand rising to silence them. Suddenly, she was frozen not by fear, but by realization. The man was her grandfather. Why did you betray us? She shouted, but the shadows remained silent, turning towards a shrouded figure who stood apart. It had to be her grandmother. Return, the figure beckoned with an outstretched hand, a plea unmasked beneath the layers of anguish. You will set the past right. In that moment, the room swayed as reality warped. Lisa felt herself being pulled further into the void, pulled away from Jake's terrified gaze, from the safety of the motel room. Mom. No. Jake's voice was swallowed by the dark, fading to nothing. Just as quickly as the darkness had enveloped her, it began to collapse, threatening to crush her spirit. With a fierce cry, Lisa fought back against it, clawing at the secrets binding her family. She pulled desperately, feeling a thread unravel in her chest. And then light. Blinding and beautiful. As it enveloped her, she felt the shadows scream in fury, recoiling as if burned by the warmth. Lisa tumbled headfirst into the light, landing hard on the motel's grimy floor. She gasped for air, the oppressive weight of dread lifted momentarily. Jake! She shouted, panic surging through her as she spun around. But the room was eerily silent. The mirror had gone dark, its secrets sealed tight once more, but then she saw him, sitting on the floor, head in his hands. Lisa rushed to her son, kneeling beside him. Are you all right? I couldn't pull you back. I thought I lost you. His voice cracked. Tears streamed down his face, a mirror of her own turmoil. She hugged him tightly, feeling his body shake against hers. I'm here, but I saw something about our family. The truth is dangerous, Jake. We need to prepare. In that moment, the door shuddered again, this time more violently. Wood splintered as something heavy slammed against it. Lisa's heart raced anew, the fragile thread of hope she held threatened to snap. We're not alone, she whispered, dread pooling deep within her gut as the shadows clawed their way back into the room. They had to leave. But to where? With panic surging, Lisa pulled Jake to his feet. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. What are we going to do? We can't stay here, not with, whatever that is. Before she could finish the thought, the door burst open, revealing an unnatural darkness that poured into the room like a living creature seeking its prey. Run! She yelled, and just as they turned toward the exit, a figure emerged from the swirling shadows, eyes burning with a sinister glow. It called to them with a voice that felt both familiar and terrifying. Did you really think it would be that easy? Lisa froze, a chilling realization creeping up her spine. The horror had only just begun. As they rushed for the door, she could feel the darkness wrap around them, pulling them back into its menacing embrace. What awaited them on the other side would change everything they thought they knew. Would they ever escape, but the echo of her family's past pressed heavily on her heart, whispering that the truth was still out there, a truth that could either save them, or seal their fate forever. The shadows leered as they surged from the doorway, thick and suffocating, clinging to Lisa and Jake like a shroud. Each heartbeat echoed loudly in the room, the bass drum of fear pounding in their chests as if urging them to run faster. They stumbled back, adrenaline lighting their legs like firecrackers, until they hit the wall, their options shrinking. "Mom, it's coming!" Jake cried, eyes wide with terror. The voice from the shadows twisted in ominous tones, a fervent whisper that curled around them. They didn't need to see the figure to feel its malevolence, a cold feeling wrapped around their throats like a noose. "Run!" Lisa shouted again, more forcefully this time, rallying against the crippling dread racking her body. She hoisted Jake's shaking body, and together, they bolted toward the adjacent door that led to the hallway. But just as they reached for the handle rattled ominously, held tight by something unseen. "No!" she screamed, pounding on the door in panic. "Let us out!" The shadows snickered, a cacophony of sinister laughter that echoed around them, making it clear that escape wasn't an option. "You can't hide from your blood," the figure intoned, its voice curling seductively around the syllables, making Lisa's skin crawl. "Jake, behind me. Keep your eyes on the—" But the words died in her throat as the door gave a violent shudder, splintering under the weight of dark energy. Suddenly, the light fixture overhead flickered, then exploded, showering them with shards of glass that sparkled like tiny stars before plummeting to the ground. Instinct kicked in, and they ducked, the bronze remnants of fear and destruction laying at their feet. In that moment of survival instinct, Lisa caught a glimpse of a key hanging from the figure's neck, intricately designed, shining like a beacon amidst the encroaching darkness. A memory of her grandmother's words echoed in her mind: "Keys unlock what is hidden, but beware, child, not all doors should be opened." "Jake, look!" she whispered fiercely, pointing as the shadows writhed, weaving around the figure, revealing sharp and jagged edges. "Mom, we can't stay here." He trembled, his voice cracking, uncertainty flooding his eyes. "I know. But if that key can unlock something, maybe it's our way out." She steadied her breath and whispered a hurried prayer. "Just trust me." Summoning her courage, Lisa began to inch forward, her heart hammering wildly. "Stay close. I want to let it take you." She stepped carefully over the shards, her fingers twitching with the need to snatch the key from that ghastly creature. As she approached, the shadows writhed and curled around the darkness like serpents, and the figure turned slowly, revealing a face twisted by centuries of torment. "Do you dare?" it taunted, tantalizing Lisa with the key draped against its collarbone. "Your truth lies beyond, but it comes with a price." "No!" Jake cried, tugging at her sleeve, breaking her focus. "We can't. We have to get out." But Lisa steadied herself, wrestling with the temptation swirling in front of her. The weight of her family's secrets hung in the air, a tangible force offering both promise and peril. "Maybe it's the key we need," she murmured, not just to herself but to the looming darkness. The lights flickered again, plunging the room into darkness, a freezing tension wrapping itself around them. The figure took a step closer, sinister energy radiating off it like heat from a fire, and Lisa felt every nerve in her body scream to flee. "Do you wish to know the truth?" it hissed, its breath a miasma of despair swirling around them. The figure's smile deepened, reveling in her hesitation. In that fleeting moment, Lisa realized, the truth might not just be about her family. It could be the line between life and death, past and future, sanity and madness. Suddenly, Jake screamed, grabbing Lisa's leg, pulling her back. "It's here." With instinct overriding thought, Lisa ripped her gaze away from the key and focused on her son's terrified face. "We need to go now." Without another glance at the figure, they turned. Sprinting toward the opposite end of the room as the floor beneath them trembled, echoing with angry whispers, warnings they couldn't understand, but as they neared the other door, the sound of a deep roar reverberated through the walls, shaking what little light was left. "What if it's too late?" Jake cried, fear making his voice tremble. We'll find out together, Lisa promised, gripping Jake's hand tightly, their hearts synchronized in fear and determination. Just then, behind them, the figure's voice rose in a chilling laughter. You cannot escape your fate. As they burst through the door, a wave of energy engulfed them, tossing them into an unknown passage. The door slammed shut behind them, cutting off the darkness in an instant. But what was this new place? Did it offer safety or something far worse? As the echoes of their footsteps faded, a single, chilling thought filled Lisa's mind: had they truly escaped at all, or had they just released something even darker into the world? The passage loomed ahead, twisting and turning into the unknown, and she knew in her heart the worst was yet to come. What awaited them around the corner? The moment they stepped into the passage, Lisa and Jake felt the oppressive weight of the darkness pressing around them, almost alive. The air was thick, saturated with an energy that felt like icy fingers trailing down their spines. Each forward step echoed in the hollow space, amplifying the dread simmering beneath their skin. Mom, where are we? Jake's voice quivered, mingling with the whispers of the shadows. He clutched her hand harder, his small fingers trembling. I don't know, honey, she replied, trying to sound steady, though her heart raced. We need to keep moving. They stumbled forward, inching deeper into the passage, which twisted and turned like a snake coiling around them. Flickering lights lined the walls, casting fleeting shadows. Some looked human, their faces twisted by torment, but as soon as Lisa's eyes caught the sight, they vanished, leaving behind only the empty gloom. An unsettling sensation bloomed in her chest, the feeling of being watched. She stopped, glancing sideways, half expecting a figure to leap from the shadows. Did you see that? She whispered, her breath quickening. See what? Jake asked, his voice barely above a whisper, eyes darting in every direction. Never mind, she squeezed his hand, forcing herself to keep moving. The only answer to their plight lay ahead, not behind. Each step echoed louder now, a staccato rhythm that echoed up and down the walls. Just then, a sudden gust of wind swept through, making her shiver. It carried the smell of damp earth and something metallic like blood. Mom. Jake's voice trailed off, terror flooding his expression. What? She turned to him. His eyes were fixed on a large door at the end of the passage, different from the others, heavier, ornate, as if calling to them. Is that it? He gasped, his fingers twitching. I don't know. Lisa hesitated. Something about the door felt wrong, like it was breathing, drawing them closer against their better judgment. Just then, a chorus of whispers surged, swirling around them, creating a symphony of despair that clawed at Lisa's sanity. Unlock it, the truth awaits, they chorused, melding into an overwhelming pull she couldn't ignore. The urge to step forward clashed with the instinct to retreat. But the voices pressed, insistent and persuasive. You must reveal the hidden truths, only then will you be free. Mom, I don't want to go there. Jake pleaded, pulling back slightly. We can't just stay here. She shot back, feeling the floor tremble beneath them, as if it understood their hesitation. We need answers, Jake. With resolve, she stepped toward the door, her heart hammering like a war drum. The rusty handle gleamed under the flickering lights, a taunt, a promise of revelations. As she reached out, a bone-chilling silence enveloped them. The whispers faded, held at bay by the gravity of the moment. The door seemed to pulse with life, and as her fingers brushed against the cool metal, she shuddered. The moment her hand gripped the handle, a jolt coursed through her body, like a shockwave. She gasped, yanking her hand back. What was that? I don't know. It felt angry, Jake whimpered, eyes wide with fear. Maybe we should just go back, Lisa faltered. She felt the urge to flee, yet the grip of curiosity was too powerful, pulling her closer. No. You said we need answers. Jake pressed, desperation adding weight to his words. The indecision gnawed at Lisa, spiraling tighter with each heartbeat. She glanced over her shoulder down the shadowy path they'd traveled, but the only companions were shadows, watching, waiting. No more running, she averred, determination swelling within her. She grasped the handle once more, heart pounding, breath hitching. With a slow, deliberate movement, she turned it. The door creaked open, a deep, echoing sound that resonated with the very depths of her soul. The world beyond was dark, impenetrable, and it called to her. "Mom, please don't!" Jake cried, clutching her tightly. "What if this truly holds our salvation?" Lisa thought, teetering on the brink of a decision that could seal their fate. As her heart raced and the shadows whispered once more, she took a deep breath, ready to plunge into whatever lay beyond. But just then, a distant howl reverberated through the passage, growing louder, more feral. "What is that?" Jake's voice trembled as the volume of the roar rose, threatening to drown everything out. The door lay open, darkness spilling like a thick fog, and Lisa's mind raced with terrifying possibilities. What lay beyond? Was it answers or a descent into chaos? All she knew was that they had entered a world governed by secrets, and the key might be the last thing they ever touched. With a final surge of courage, they prepared to step into the unknown, the howl echoing behind them, and Lisa could only hope they would not regret it, for sometimes, the truth bites back. The darkness beyond the door seemed to stretch infinitely, a thick veil of uncertainty hanging heavily in the air. Lisa hesitated, her heart teetering between fear and an inexplicable urge to step into the abyss. The howl intensified, reverberating through the passage like a warning siren, each note scraping against her nerves. "Mom, please." Jake's voice trembled, pulling her attention back. The pleading in his eyes sliced through her momentary resolve. She could feel his fear like a tangible force, but forging ahead felt like the only option. Still, doubt clawed at her insides. Was she leading them to potential salvation or condemning them both to unimaginable horrors? With a strained breath, Lisa took a step forward, drawing Jake along. The door creaked further open, revealing a room cloaked in shadow, suffused with the scent of decay and despair. The chill wrapped around their bodies like icy chains, making every hair stand on end. Suddenly, the shadows swirled around them, coiling and tightening, a living entity crawling into their reality. "Mom, what is happening?" Jake whimpered, his voice rising above the echoes that danced wickedly around them. I don't know." Lisa responded, gripping his hand tighter. They crossed the threshold, and the door slammed shut behind them, the sound echoing like an omen passing through the air. Only a dim light flickered above, illuminating disheveled furniture and pages scattered across the floor as if something had erupted in chaos and left the remnants behind. "There is something wrong here," Lisa whispered, swallowing hard. She picked up a torn page, its edges fraying, and as she read the frantic scrawl, her stomach dropped. "They know our secrets. They come from the shadows." The word sent chills cascading down her spine, resonating with the unease she felt since they entered the passage. "Mom, I don't like this place." Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, his small form trembling beside her. "Neither do I, but we have to keep going," she insisted, searching for the source of the haunting whispers. They felt closer now, wrapping around her as if enticing her to uncover their stories. "Maybe there's a way out, a clue to what is happening." As they ventured deeper into the room, the whispers grew louder, transforming into frantic pleas. "Help us, free us," the voices echoed, layering over one another, urging Lisa forward. "Mom!" Jake cried, his voice an urgent plea that sliced through the confusion. She turned, and her heart seized. A figure materialized within the shadows, its form amorphous, flickering like a dying flame. It hovered just beyond the edge of the dim light, eyes glimmering with a haunting desperation. "Don't look at it," Lisa commanded, pulling Jake close. But the figure beckoned with a twisted hand, and against her better judgment, she found her gaze trapped by its sorrow. "I know your pain," it rasped, the voice dripping with an unearthly sadness. "You seek answers, but beware, the truth comes at a great cost. What do you want from us?" Lisa gasped, her heart racing, but the figure only pointed toward a darkened corner of the room where what appeared to be old photographs lay, their surfaces dulled by dust. Those who uncover the secrets of this place must confront their own, it whispered, fading slightly but remaining ever watchful, driven by a surge of dread and an unquenchable need to know. Lisa stepped forward, nudging toward the pile of photos. As she knelt down, her heart raced with terror and anticipation. What had she and Jake stumbled into? The questions gnawed at her insides, even as an unsettling feeling crept over her. The shadows seemed to pulsate around them, tightening their grip. "Mom, don't!" Jake cried as she reached for a photograph. But as her fingers grazed the surface, a shocking jolt of energy shot through her, and visions flooded her mind, snapshots of sorrow, harrowing screams echoing, faces contorted in agony sprawled throughout time. "Stop!" Jake screamed as the photographs began to glow ominously, illuminating the room in a haunting array of colors. Lisa's pulse raced, and just as the howling storm from before erupted around them once more, filling her ears with discordant roars, a realization hit her. This wasn't merely about revealing secrets, it was about confronting the very essence of fear itself. "What's happening, Mom?" Jake's voice quivered with panic, drawing her back to reality. She strained against the deafening cacophony swirling within her, clutching the photo as the shadows twisted into nightmarish forms, threatening to swallow them whole. "Whatever is beyond this door, we must face it together," she yelled above the roar. The last thing she saw as she clung to her son was the figure fading, its hollow gaze fixated on her, whispering, "The moment awaits." The darkness closed in around them, and Lisa clutched Jake tighter, heart pounding. Whatever awaited them was a test of their very spirits, and she knew there would be no turning back now. As the shadows writhed and howled, she could only wonder, would they emerge with answers, or would they be consumed by the darkness that awaited? "Mom, what if we can't escape?" Jake's terrified voice pierced the tumultuous shadows, and as they braced for what was to come, Lisa felt a shiver of dread. The truth lay before them, deadly and beautiful, ready to be unmasked. The chaos around them intensified, shadows swirling like a tempest, and the air turned electric, crackling with the echoes of what had been. Lisa tightened her grip on Jake's hand. They were standing on the precipice of revelation, but what they might find was more fearsome than anything they imagined. "They're here. They're waiting," Jake cried, panic rising in his voice. Taking a deep breath, Lisa shot him a reassuring glance, though her heart was pounding. "We must face this together. No matter what, I won't let them take you," she promised, her voice steady despite the quaking dread roiling in her stomach. As they edged toward the source of the swirling darkness, the whispering figures began to take clearer shapes, familiar faces, twisted in pain, their eyes gleaming with unshed tears. Each step closer felt like a step into a nightmare, and Lisa felt an overwhelming urge to protect her son from the horrors laid bare before them. "Mom, I don't want to see this," Jake whimpered, the grip on her hand tightening to a vice. "I know," she murmured, pain lacing her voice. "We have to confront the truth to set them free." Suddenly, the figures broke through the veil of shadows, and the room was filled with anguished cries. "Help us! Set us free!" They reached out to Lisa and Jake, ghostly hands stretching like shadows across the room, seeking warmth and escape, a desperate plea coded in despair. "Who are you?" Lisa shouted above the cacophony. "Why are you trapped here? You must uncover the betrayal." A voice wailed, weaving through the shadows until it settled on one collective voice. "It lies within your past. The truth holds the key." Images began to flash through Lisa's mind again. The betrayal echoed beneath the sorrowful wails, headlines from old newspapers, family feuds unmasked, the shadow of her grandfather casting doubt over everything. "No, it can't be," she gasped. The shadows closed in, trapping them, whispering chilling secrets into her ears. "You must confront him, confront the darkness within your bloodline." A sorrowful voice hissed, and suddenly, the scene shifted violently. The echoes of a grandfather's terrible decisions flooded the room, shadows morphing to reveal a table rich with binding contracts, a family torn apart by greed and pain. Lisa stumbled backward. How could he? She choked out, her heart aching at the profound betrayal. "Mom! Make them stop!" Jake cried, scrambling back as the darkness pressed against them. The shadows surged with a frenzy of agony, each wail twisting through their bodies, filling the air with palpable dread. Facing the shimmering images, Lisa's resolve strengthened. This wasn't just about saving the trapped souls but about confronting the truth of her family's history, a truth that had lingered for far too long. "You will not take us!" she shouted defiantly to the shadows, an echo of power igniting within her. "We will not be bound by the past." Jake chimed in, summoning courage from somewhere deep, standing tall beside his mother. Together, they faced the swirling figures as they drew nearer, powerful and terrifying. Abruptly, the figures fell into a hushed stillness, as if considering their words. "And yet, you must reveal us." One voiced urgently, the anguish palpable in its tone. With newfound determination, Lisa demanded, "Show us how to set you free." "What must we do?" The shadows shifted, swirling in response, revealing images of a sacrifice, a reckoning. "Break the cycle. Banish the darkness before it consumes you all." The wailing mourners reached toward Lisa, hands entwining, drawing power from her. Together, they urged. Holding tightly to Jake, Lisa locked her gaze onto the swirling maw around them. "We choose the truth. We choose to confront the past," she declared, drawing strength from every ounce of love she had for her son. "Let us be the light that breaks through. We're not afraid." The energy around them shifted, thickening into a beam of light that pierced the veil of shadows. The cries crescendoed, mixing with a fierce strength that began to push back against the darkness. The shadows screamed in turmoil as Lisa and Jake stood firm, their resolve rallying each lost soul to fight back against the betrayal that had imprisoned them. A blinding light erupted, engulfing Lisa and Jake, flooding the room with warmth and clarity. The anguished cries morphed into relieved weeping as the shadows began to dissolve in the brightness. "Free us!" the figures echoed, their voices trailing into ethereal sighs, dissolving into the air like smoke. As the scene shifted, heavy weight lifted from the air, and peace enveloped them. With one final pulse of energy, the darkness scattered like mist under the morning sun, revealing a tranquil room, the debris of anguish replaced with golden warmth. Jake looked around, breaths of relief flooding his chest. "Did we do it?" he asked, his gaze full of wonder. Lisa couldn't help but smile, tears of joy filling her eyes as she hugged him tightly. "We set them free, Jake," her voice trembled with hope. "We found the truth, and now it's behind us." But as they stepped out toward the door, a sense of profound quiet settled upon them. Just as they reached the threshold, a familiar voice echoed softly in the air, a blessing, a promise of healing. "Thank you." Lisa turned back, but the room was now empty. The shadows, once heavy with despair, had transformed into soft golden light, and as she and Jake left the motel, freedom washed over them, igniting the dawn with possibilities for their new lives ahead, unshackled by past shadows. They had faced darkness, embraced the truth, and emerged into the light, their own story finally beginning anew. The final chapter closed, but for Lisa and Jake, even deeper adventures awaited them in the sunshine, filled with acceptance and a legacy redefined. Now, before you go, here's what you have to do. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss these exclusive stories that pull you into every twist and turn. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm, because every like helps the next story come alive. Flood the comments with your thoughts and theories. What did you think about how it all ended? And finally, please, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Show your support and embrace the journey ahead.